I'd like to start talking about references. References that are used by the new presentation are the best ones around, but always they are only a hint, a reference and not a reality. People can become more so attached to the references. They can become literalized, whereas the purpose of them is to provide hints to the true reality and the recognition of it therefore. The references alone cannot take you there. An example given was the pray for purity reference, the reference being that on prayer, but the focus is on the purity of it. As the real universes are purity and sincerity, and these qualities are states of being best aligned with, to connect most effectively with the is, and required to eventually be in the real universes. There can be no purity in creation, because creation is a simulator. It's like the image on a movie screen. It's a reflection of the real universes, but it is a copy and not the real thing. A little like, too, one's reflection in the mirror. There one is, but a copy nonetheless. I liked the visual image Dwayne provided too, of our created consciousness being like a box we place ourselves within. Initially, as we add ideas to it, the box becomes cluttered. As lifetimes pass by, it becomes that we have a huge box full of ideas, and ideas to explain the ideas that have been created in creation, and we are nestled in the middle of a box full of junk. One day, it will all have to be sorted out and resolved, the clutter removed. Only then can we now see we are in a box at least, and at a place where we can begin the process of removing ourselves from it. But unless we take the leap, take the risk to earn the way, the box is where we remain, with all the self-convinced literal interpretations. Far better then to step forever further into the unknown, for how can it show you more if you become static and stationary within yourself, rigid and solidified? Many people will take the journey, but many will only go so far, and usually get stuck with an idea or other. Ultimately, everything we have created must be placed aside if we are to fully embrace the magnitude of our real selves. Anything less than everything, and we would not then be standing as a real being of light with the guides in the true reality. Pondering over what might happen to an individual who elects to step back and renounce the is and return to their personal little selves, re-embracing creation, I imagine a situation where the gods of man and all the various characters that make up the control of creation are most annoyed at the new friends who dare to defy them and encourage others to do likewise, indicated by the endless attacks and discouraging experiences sent in an attempt to put off those trying to put down their chains. But with the real intent strong and determination set, the guides will protect their own. So successful attacks of this nature are minimalized, with the added deterrent of extreme karma that would be exacted. But should an individual then forsake the is, and thus no longer have the protection of the guides, I suspect a measure of revenge would likely be exacted by the dark forces. I can see these dark characters being very twisted, callous and vengeful in their being, and certainly the defiance of individuals would not be forgotten or forgiven. And with the real guides there no longer, as an individual chooses to walk away, and presumably karma not so harsh for those who attack them, at least not as harsh as when they were with the new, then it wouldn't surprise me that these unwise individuals be at the mercy of the Kalaum. And should they then pass over and are confronted by the Kalaum, unable to move beyond the levels of creation he commands, I imagine centuries in the dungeons there may be their fate. They may never get to return to another life for the longest time, as the Kalaum may delight in what he may see as his revenge, and in the off chance that, considering they took on the challenge once, that they may well do again, this can be prevented also by placing them in prison, and the troublesome individuals will have no opportunity further to upset the apple cart. Not that I'd seek to scare people, but if it's a scary notion or not, it's very likely. So it's a real possibility that I'm merely suggesting, and so if someone wishes to add a simulated emotion to it, then that is their decision to do so. Here's a fun thing I was pondering. That the fact of our inability generally to recall past lives is due to the Kalaum God ensuring it is so, adding to all the vehicles of individuals in creation this little gift. He also allows those that work on his behalf to ensure everyone remains in creation. The cabal and dark brats, the ability to recall their past lives. This would be very beneficial. A controller or globalist able to far more readily pick up where they left off with the information past lives would provide. And it would be beneficial for everyone else too, in regards to recollection of references and experiences directly, rather than intuition and subconscious undercurrents alone. Considering how few actually pay attention to the intuitive parts of themselves, and even if awareness allows an individual to access the Akashic records, they are in creation, and so the Akashic records can be interfered with where necessary. So they must be considered not entirely reliable. One would want access to the universal files to get an untarnished view, but then, without sincerity, integrity, and purity, and achieving access to the 7th level, the slaves in creation will have no access to these, and naturally the guides are cautious over who may view them. Imagine globalists getting their grubby scaled hands on them, a tool for manipulation no doubt. So the Kalaum has positioned himself so, where he can affect this selective past life memory recall, but as we near the end of the Iron Epoch, and with everything set to implode too will the Kalaum, for he is in creation too. So then, if everything implodes, all individuals in the creation psych realms are temporarily removed from it, then return to a new reformulated golden age, and all start off again in physical creation, then the Kalaum will not be in a position yet to tinker with the physical vehicles of the slaves. Presumably then, all individuals would have far better accessibility to previous lives, everyone on an even keel, and should, in theory, make leaps and bounds with their awareness and recognition, assuming they wish to do so. Until such time as the Kalaum or similar controlling types re-establish themselves in the higher areas of creation. Or maybe they just get placed back in the level they were at before the implosion and carry right on where they left off. I'll have to try and ask Dwayne about this, as it is a fascinating area of conjecture. If we did all return and start again on the physical level, Maybe this would be the best time and epoch, with individuals who are aware to a point, to make serious inroads with their awareness, with the benefit that an epoch, free of technological subliminals and other interfering elements, would provide. There is always, too, this contention amongst spiritual seekers and such, that consciousness is the ultimate. But it is really all about the awareness, and consciousness, just like all our 5 vehicles, is simply another tool and vehicle to work through and understand creation. Everything in creation and created consciousness is only a reference, and not the true reality life is, and then the day will come, or the new moment, when you discard all the creation's vehicles and consciousness alike. Creatively expressing the is through projects and making them fun is a means to recognise this true reality by earning your way, forgetting the little self and surpassing everything in creation, including the roles we identify as, like our job and gender, etc. Also important is it to not become emotionally attached to the projects, to just let them go and be, and recognise the real intent behind the projects and not focus on that which you are creatively presenting to reference the is. I also like how karma is so more readily handled with a strong real intent, unlike being the effects of everything in creation. With the real intent in place, the times we might mess up are taken care of, karmically speaking. Then you can't get karma at all if your intent is with the is. It's like a big magical credit card in the sky once you have earned it.